Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
We need a reading light for old folks like me here, you know, that you can like focus it on the text, because I'm not very strong. So, I'm just going to read this one verse. Thank you. Yes. Let me just switch it off for a second. I'll just chant the Om Namo, and then we can do it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter 23, text 60. Thank you very much. Oh, well, it's just very short. So I'll just chant the verse. Tasmat sarvapanatata. Sorry, it was 11:23:60. Those who you can follow on the phones. Nirkhana manodya. Nirgrihana manodya. Mayi avesitaya yukta. Mayi avesitaya yukta. Etavan yoga sangraha. Tasmat. Therefore. Sarva Atmana. In all respects. Tata. My dear Uddhava. Nirkhana. Bring under control. Manaha. The mind. Thiya. With intelligence. Mayi. In me. Avesitaya. Which is absorbed. Yuktaha. Linked up. Etavan. Thus. Yoga sangraha. The essence of spiritual practice. Translation. My dear Uddhava, this is Krishna speaking to Uddhava. Fixing your intelligence on me should thus completely control the mind. This is the essence of the science of yoga. Please repeat. My dear Uddhava. Fixing your intelligence on me. You should thus completely control the mind. This is the essence of the science of yoga. And there is no purport, so I'll just read the next also. Anyone who listens to or recites to others the song of the sannyasi, which presents scientific knowledge of the Absolute, and who thus meditates upon it with full attention, will never again be overwhelmed by the dualities of material happiness and distress. Purport. The Vaishnava sannyasi took shelter of the devotional service of the Lord, and thus could overcome the illusory potency of his worshipable object, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He himself meditated upon and heard this song, and also taught it to others. Having received the Lord's mercy, he enlightened other conditioned souls with transcendental intelligence, so that they could also follow in the footsteps of the devotees of the Lord. Religion actually means to become a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord in loving service. Those who are trying to enjoy the material world or merely renounce it to avoid personal inconvenience cannot actually understand love of Godhead, in which the only objective is the satisfaction of the Lord. Thus ends the purport of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 11th canto, 23rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Song of the Avanti Brahmana. So this is a beautiful section of Bhagavatam, and I especially find it as a friend to me, because thank you very much for that. There is a verse where Sanatana Goswami praises the Bhagavatam, talking Mad Eka Bandhu, O Srimad Bhagavatam, my only friend. Mad Eka Bandhu Mad Sangim, O my companion. Mat Guru, O my teacher. Mat Maha Tana, O my great wealth. So if we ever wish that we would like to have a friend who will not leave us, okay? A friend who understands what we're really going through in this world, the sufferings and the disappointments and also the happy things, then we can approach Bhagavatam as a friend. Because that's what Sanatana Goswami is recommending. That's how he's praying to Bhagavatam, and I like to meditate on that personally. And what happens is usually when we get some friends, right? Those friends introduce us to another group of friends, isn't it? Just like when we went to Mauritius this summer, I got invited as to help out with Yadavasa Varsa's wedding there. So many new friends in Mauritius. You just go and you make a friend. So in the same way, Bhagavatam, if we accept Bhagavatam as our friend and try to spend regularly time by hearing Bhagavatam, also turning to Bhagavatam when we have any issues, if we've got any problems, anything like that, if we just try to turn to Bhagavatam, we'll find out that Bhagavatam actually gives us so many more friends. And our circle increases. Our happiness increases. Because these friends, they are also the kind of friends like Avanti Brahmana, who've already kind of treaded this path of spiritual practice. We are all interested in yoga, that's why we are here. If we were not interested in becoming enlightened or developing our love for Krishna, we wouldn't bother turning up here on Sundays. So these are the persons that Bhagavatam gives us, who already treaded the path and who can give us so good advice. And they're not all success stories either. We might think sometimes ourselves that, I really like to practice yoga, but who am I? I can't control my mind. I don't hear my japa. I find it a great struggle to try to balance my spiritual and material life, between work and sadhana, things like that. But if we turn to Bhagavatam, we find that, hey, we're not the only ones. We're not alone, These great devotees as well in the past, they had their own struggles. And we can become greatly encouraged by their experiences. So my proposal is today, let's try to turn to Bhagavatam with that in mind. And once in a country of Avanti, there lived this very certain Brahmana, and I would like to introduce him as our friend today. And he was a very gifted person, and he was very wealthy. he'd been kind of born with the silver spoon in his mouth or something, you might say. He was in business of merchant and also banking. And now we know about bankers. They've got a bit bad reputation, at least in UK, in the last 10 years. Few economical issues have been caused by, speculative activities of the bankers and people in the business world. So our friend, he was in the same line of work. And it's, Bhagavatam talks how wealth, having lots of wealth, sometimes we might lament that we don't have enough, all right? But Bhagavatam actually warns that having lots of wealth is very dangerous position. Because what happens is that it takes away one's intelligence. There is a great danger that it takes away one's intelligence. So what happened to our friend, unfortunately, because he was so wealthy and successful, he became very miserly person. He was very greedy, and he wasn't satisfied with what he had. Just like the bankers we hear, bonuses go up every year. And if you look at the newspaper and you think somebody already earned so many millions, then why do they need another 2 million? So, anyhow, so our friend, he was like that. He just wanted more and more and more. And then no matter how much he accumulated, usually we would think that if you have wealth, you try to share it with others. But he wasn't doing that. He, first of all, denied all the wealth and happiness from his family. Think about that, how they took that. His friends. He wasn't giving in charity, he wasn't distributing, none of that. He was just hoarding it all, keeping it to himself. And even his guests who came to his house, it's described, they were not treated with nice words. What to speak of anything else, nice meal, or like last week we've had lots of events in devotees' houses for Kartik. And in every single house we were treated with such a great hospitality. Sweet words, some nice Krishna katha, beautiful bhajans, prasadam, like that. So our friend, he wasn't doing that. So what do you think? How did everyone respond to him? Or how do you think, what kind of a treatment he got from his friends and family? Our friend. What would you do if you knew a person like that? Not associate with you.
Just leave him alone.
Just leave him alone. Yeah, the family just gradually became disgusted. They just thought this guy is a total waste of space. And they didn't treat with him affection. That was basically what they didn't do. And by the force of time, because time is Krishna's representative, and sometimes we know that no matter how much we've got or how lucky we are in this world, eventually the wheel of time will tick and take away everything, that whatever we've accumulated in this world. So he lost his wealth. Somehow or other, some of his family members managed to get some things. And then he also, because he was agriculturalist, he's invested money in farming. So there was some climatical problems that came, the crops didn't work out. He lost, and eventually he found himself totally without anything. And not only that he didn't have anything, but he also lost the affection. Because sometimes we know that even if we've got a tight time, or if we don't have something, but if we've got friends and And if we've got family to turn to, it makes such a big difference, doesn't it? But he didn't have anything. And first, Krishna, who is telling this story to Uddhava, he describes that this Brahmana, he became totally depressed. And he was lamenting that what he'd lost. And he was thinking, how could fate treat me like this? But then somehow or other, again Bhagavatam talks how all that his piety, that his good deeds, by his good deeds that he'd earned all this wealth and all the success and luck that he had in his life, although all the leaves of the tree of the piety, they dried up, but there was one branch that didn't dry. And that was the branch of piety, that he had some desire to know God. He had some desire to become free from this material world. And that branch of the tree of piety did not dry up. So now, when his fortunes changed, those blossoms, they started to take place. And he started to get the mercy of Krishna in the sense that he became renounced. And he became detached from this situation. Because sometimes, if things just really don't work, we think, okay, I'm not going to waste my time with that. I'm going to find something better to do. And this is what our friend did. And he decided that he's going to accept this as somehow or other arrangement of God. And he took sannyas. He became renounced. Now, you might wonder, well, am I proposing here that we should all take sannyas? Yes. That's exactly what I'm doing because we want to. Sannyas, it doesn't mean, according to Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, it's not just a change of dress. It's not accepting the danda. But sannyas means when we become totally surrendered to Krishna. And that is the message of the Bhagavatam. That we want to become totally surrendered to Krishna and develop our love for him. That's the real sannyas that we're talking about here. And the sannyas that we try to follow in the footsteps of Radha Brahmana. So he started to travel the earth. And he went around and he was begging some alms from the neighbors. And somehow or other, because the kind of person he was, there were some people who recognized him. And they said, you? You, the worst miser in the town? Now, because you lost everything, you suddenly became very religious. Sorry, mate, we're not going to buy this. And they just threw him out of the house. They didn't give him anything. And then when he sat down to try to pray, some people came to him and they stole his, the begging bowl. They stole his danda. Some people even came and they started to urinate on him. Sometimes we hear in the news that homeless people, that's what happens to them, They lie on the street. And it's always shocking to read about it, but Bhagavatam talks about the same thing, that sometimes people who are really, on the mercy of others, they really get the harsh treatment. People urinated on him. If he managed to get some little alms from some house, they stole them away. He was really, really treated badly. And they spat on him. Anything, you just name it. Just think about what could be the worst treatment. And there he is alone on the streets. And he's trying to surrender to God. He's trying to meditate. So while he was there, and this is where we come to the interesting part, which I think we can all benefit very much from. reasoning and analyzing the situation. Because Bhagavatam it uses Sankhya Yoga, analysis of material elements, also Jnana Yoga. And he was thinking that actually these people who are giving me hard time, who are saying these insulting words, they are not the cause of my suffering. He also analyzed that it's not, the devas, the demigods, who give the rain and the cold, and they are also the cause of my suffering, although I'm suffering from cold and rain. He also thought that it's none of these external things like we might look for. If something sometimes happens to us, at least I personally, I think, oh, why is this happening to me? We try to think, whose fault is it? But this Brahmana, he said, no, it's none of these things. Not the nature, not the devas, not these people. What do you think he thought was the cause of his suffering? If you think about just the, Eastern thought and philosophy, how they explain some of these things. Previous actions, that's interesting, because we might think like that yes, it's a direct consequence, how he was behaving, that what goes around comes around. But interestingly, our friend Avanti Brahmana, he said, no, it's not even karma, that I am suffering. Sorry, now there was 2 comments. First Keshava said something and then you said.
I'm saying, I just think it sees it as a mercy of Krishna.
Yes, very good. He definitely saw it as the mercy of Krishna. What did you think?
Lack of love for God.
Lack of love for God. Interesting. Well, and Saraswati, what do you think? Forgetfulness of Krishna. Good. These are all very, yes.
Identification with the body as self.
These are all true, but our friend identified still one more cause. And he said that, but the cause of my suffering is my mind. My mind. That's what he identified as the cause of his suffering. Because with our mind, we identify ourselves with the temporary body, like Dhananjaya was saying. Or we forget God, like Shyama was saying. We think we are matter. We forget we are eternal servants of Krishna. We forget God. So therefore, and then, we also forget that, hey, actually, whatever happens to us, maybe it's Krishna's mercy, like Keshavananda was saying. And what was Saraswati? You were saying that? Forgot Krishna. Yeah. So these are all. But here I pinpointed that it's my mind. My mind is the thing that's causing me to suffer. And now I can see Pratik looks really puzzled by this point. because when we read Bhagavad Gita, we come to appreciate that there is that bit of Jnana and Sankhya, which helps us to analyze what we are not. And it starts by analyzing that we are not our temporary body or the machine that we are at present traveling within, but nor are we our mind, which is the subtle kind of a body, if you would say, which is circled around the senses that we have. And then also our ego, which is very closely connected to our mind. The sense of being that I am for example, I could think that I'm a Finnish woman because I was born in Finland, or I'm 53 because the body is that old. But if I think in Krishna conscious terms, I understand actually I'm not. These are temporary designations. So our friend was advanced like that. And he understood that if in my mind I think I am this body, and I see other people as their bodies, and I see make distinctions between someone is my friend, someone is my enemy, then it is my own fault. It is my own mind that is causing me the suffering. Does that make sense? That's how he was reasoning. And I don't know how practical you think this is for us here, sitting on the 21st century in Newcastle, because obviously this is a very ancient history of the Bhagavatam, of Avanti Brahmana. But that's what he's sharing, and let's have a look, what else was there? So he was interested in making his mind his friend, rather than having a mind as an enemy. And that's one thing we all, as yoga practitioners, it's very essential for us to come to appreciate. Because we can be in the difficult situation, and we can always choose how we're going to respond to things. And our mind, by becoming negative and being looking for not taking responsibility, for example, can make things worse for us. And on the other hand, if we look at things positively, we try to see what we can learn from this, and we can try to see the good things in life, then the same experience can be very different. That's anyway what I propose to you, based on my own yoga practice. And I'm not saying that it's easy, but I think it's possible. Because, Arjuna, he tells the Krishna in Bhagavad Gita that, it's very difficult to control the mind. Chanchalam himana Krishna, he says that it's very difficult, it's more harder than to control the wind. But Krishna says, yes, it is possible. It's undoubtedly it's very difficult. Krishna agrees. But he says, but it's possible by practice and detachment. And I'm just trying to think. Vairagyena, Abhyasena, Vairagyena Sakriyate. Yes. So it's possible by practice and detachment. These two things. So it's something that we can all learn to do. And that's the message that he's giving us here. And not only he's saying that it's just all about the mind and control the mind and have a right vision and everything, but the nice thing he also says is that we should remember that in our heart, Krishna is there as our friend. And we can always take shelter of Krishna as our friend. And he became totally fixed by this. And he became totally peaceful. And that's where the kind of the history stops. We don't know what happened to him after that. But he became enlightened. That's the story anyhow. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And I suppose one thing I was just going to ask you is that, and maybe draw from collective wisdom here of Vaishnavas, that what could be some of the obstacles for us? What do you think in appreciating this knowledge and applying it on a practical level in our lives? And then secondly, I'd like you to consider and draw from your wisdom that how could we overcome those obstacles?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,